Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie. This is the layout that you'll see me making, and today I'll be using 49 Market ARToptions Avesta. Well, I hope that's how you say it, but that's how it's spelled. So I'm just looking at this collection here. Not used it before, so I'm really looking forward to this, and I've got a picture of my daughter and her boyfriend that was taken on her prom night in our back garden, so I thought it'd be perfect for the greeny pink vibe of these papers. So all the collection's still available in the Hey Little Magpie store at the present, so do hop on over and have a look at all of that. So I'm just having a look here at these like die cuts. As I say, I've not actually had their products before, so really interested to see how they work. I love the way they print on the back of some of their like cutter parts for you to do yourself on the back of the list of all the collection. So giving you more bits to play with. So this is the ephemera set I'm just going through. I've got an idea in my mind how I want this layout to look. It doesn't quite turn out like that in the end, but it's similar. So I'm just going through the papers now. These are the 6x8s. There's 3 of each design. So I'm just getting one of each design together at the moment so that I can have a look at the colours. I find that when I'm scrapping, if I reduce the amount of paper and ephemera in front of me, then it helps me focus on what I'm doing. So I didn't need all 3 of each design there, so I'm just putting those aside. So I'm just going through, I'm looking at putting together some like a vertical pattern with the photograph on the right and some interest in ephemera on the left. So I'm just going to, I love the fact the papers are 6x8 because so they're longer than a photograph, like a 6x4. So in fact mine was a 6x4 photo, but I've actually trimmed it down. I don't know why, I think there was a bit of a planter or a wall or something by their knees or feet, so I'd cut it off anyway. That was a while ago when I had it printed, so don't remember the details as such, but that doesn't matter because I may even cut it down a little bit more. So some really nice papers here. I really like the flower detail in this one, and I'm thinking I might actually cut that out. I like the texture they've added to a lot of their papers. They're also really good weight. I've never used their stuff before. I couldn't get over how thick the papers were. Make them feel like really good quality. Now I also picked up these, I don't know whether you'd call them, I thought they were washi tape. I must admit I didn't read it properly. It does say fabric tape on the box, and I really like the idea of these. I'm hoping to use it in the same way as I would use washi. So we'll have to see how it goes, but they're at the top of the picture and they're the ones that match this range as well. So I'm just going through some of the papers. I want some to be plain and some to be patterned. There's a large piece of ephemera there that I've cut out, which is the green with the black words on. So I'm just going through. There's a nice frame there as well, a nice grey frame. That was from the ephemera set. Honestly, there is so much to choose from. And so as I say, I like to start to whittle it down, have a look at everything, see what I think, and then I'll go from there. So I've had a bit of a think. I've got the frame there tucked in on the left. I like the left cluster more than I like the right cluster. Always the way. I don't know whether you get the same, so I'm actually going to just concentrate on the left one to start with. And then if that comes together, then I can move across and work on the other one. So I'm just distressing the edges here with a Prima Distresser, something that's been in my stash for quite some time. And I've actually stuck that all now down on the left. So I'm looking at the right again, still not quite where I want it to be, so I'm going to cut this photo down a little bit more, and I'm going to mat it onto some white cardstock just to make it look like it's been printed with a white edge, and that way it will help it pop from the layers below it. It's just an easy thing to do if your photo's not quite right. You could also distress the edges of the photo. Sometimes, there we are. Sometimes do that as well, just to rough it up a little bit. But if you haven't got any white cardstock, just rough up the edges to make them go white. So I'm just going to distress these, and while I figure out how I want them to look. Now, since I got this collection, there's been a lot of media interest in their latest collection, which was Spectrum Sherbet. We've definitely got that in the Hey Little Magpie store as well. I don't know what they're doing at 49 and Market, but they're definitely on a roll, producing some absolutely beautiful ranges. So they're definitely one that I'm going to be using again, because I've not really seen paper like this for quite some time. So anyway, do check it out. So I'm just looking at what other layers to go behind the photo, just to help it pop off those pieces of ephemera. I just think there's so much going on here that it's just really nice to add all these layers. When I saw the paper and I unpacked them from the pack, I was a bit loath to actually cut into the 12 by 12. So by having the 6 by 8 papers and the ephemera and the die cut pack, it's kind of, I'm holding off cutting into the big papers. I know that's silly. I don't know why I need to do that. It's just the way it goes, really. So this cluster on the right is still not the way I'd like it to look. I did cut the frame in half from the left, so I've got a piece of it that I'd like to use on the right, just to add a bit of like continuity, really. But it takes me a while to actually figure out where I want it to sit. Sometimes if it's not going the way that I want it, I walk away, make a cup of tea. Sometimes I even come back to layouts the following day or after work to see if I can figure out what it's missing. I don't know whether you ever get that sort of block. I'm not a fast scrapper, I will admit to that. I know some people that would be so frustrating if they thought it would take hours or days to make a layout, but kind of that's all part of the process somehow for me. So it's just the way I am. I really love that die cut lacy piece. It doesn't make it in the end. I cannot get it to look right for some reason. I'm sure I'll save it for something special. So I bring in a doily from my own stash and I just add some under the photo on the right and tuck another piece under on the left just to soften the edges there, and I really like that. Now I quite like that title initially, delightful, but I'm thinking maybe it might be a bit white, and so I'm not always sure that I'll actually change my mind. So I'm still messing about with this on the right hand side, which is just frustrating me, I have to say, but it's just the way I am. You're very lucky that I've speeded this up. So now I've actually committed it to it and I've stuck them down. They're not stuck to the background, but they are stuck to themselves because I didn't know how I wanted to decorate the paper. I found one of the die cuts from the sheet called Gorgeous, and I'm going to use that and a little flower as the title of the layout. I was just bending up a few of the corners. So I'm going to take some of this washi. I've been ripping it just to give it like a furry edge. And I'd like to add some on the left, but it does take me a while to decide the sort of thickness that I want. But I just kept adding. If you cut the fabric tape with a pair of scissors, and then it will let you tear it. So I'm just having a look round where that would look nice. It's from the biggest of the rolls in the pack that I'm looking at. So I'm just come back in again. I'm just wondering whether to add another piece on the right hand side, and I'm going to add a die cut bow on top of those flowers there. There's foam pads behind a lot of the things that are stuck down, or I've distressed the edges and curled them up because I wanted as much texture. This paper feels like it deserves it because of its quality. So there's lots of layers, and seeing this layout flat really doesn't do it justice. So I'm just sticking the title down there. I don't want to cover too much of the photograph. But it's just softening the edges, having the title sticking out there. I've been wondering whether to add some ribbon. That's ribbon there that I'm touching, but actually in the long term it doesn't make it. Instead I use this scalloped edge, again from the die cut pack. I think that's from one of the plainer ones. There's a white one, and I'm just trimming it down just so I can add some on the left again and some on the right. As I say, you can never have too much. I mean, and lots of these are just little pieces that I'm tucking in, so it's not as if I'm using up loads. I have lots left over, I can assure you, to definitely make 2 or 3 more layouts minimum. So I'm just going to add these bits in, just a bit of double-sided tape on the back to get them into position. That just softens that paler edge there. Yeah, I really like the way that's actually now come together. I think it really suits the photograph. I love the mottled look of the background paper as well, so it's definitely now all coming together. So I decide that I'm going to actually stick these two pieces down, actually touching the edge at the sides, so then I can have a look at the background. So you may spy there on the left, I brought in some of the rub-ons that match this range. I can't tell you the last time that I actually used rub-ons, but I'm up for anything. I've heard good things about them and what good quality they are, and I kind of admire them as a manufacturer bringing rub-ons back. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it actually. It takes me a while to figure out what I want to do, but that's nothing new for me, is it? So I'm just going to stick those two pieces down. Got a few more bits and pieces there, see if there's anything else I want to tuck in, because I haven't actually written the date, so I am going to stick that down eventually. Just and I've added a couple more leaves. So this is the sheet of die cuts that, sheet of rub-ons that I'm going to use. And I decided that actually I'm going to just trim them off with the backing intact. So I've cut into them a little bit there, and I've seen one there that I think it would be really good to go in the centre. So I'm going to slip that in. I'm trying not to get it attached to the background paper until I've got it in position. And it kind of links the two pieces across. And there's a special tool in the pack, so you don't need anything special to rub it. I mean, years ago we used to use a lollipop stick, but this is perfectly fine. And I'm just trying to get underneath the acetate cover with my fingernail there, just so that I can lift the edge and see how well they're sticking. Because these are actually just for the background, I'm not too worried if they don't stick properly the first time, but I thought as I lift the edge I can actually see which bits I need to work on just to get them to stick down. I probably made a mistake sticking the left and right pieces of the layout down, but actually it gave me much more of an idea where I wanted the rub-ons to go, so it works both ways really, and I'm only just curling some of the leaves and the flowers, so it's not a real biggie. So I'm quite liking the way that this is looking, and I'm just going over it. I'm probably being a bit too gentle to start with. I get a bit bolder the more that I stick on the layout, and I've got it just tucked underneath the photo there. So yeah, I think that works really, really well. There's a couple of tiny spots that I'd missed, so I'm just adding those so I don't waste them. Which makes me think, so I cut some more off as I get braver, as I say, and I'm going to add some more around both of these clusters. And I think it just adds another layer to the background. I mean, if you didn't have the rub-ons, you could just do some splatters, but I like it with the text involved as well. I think it goes with a lot of their papers. They've thought really well about this collection and what would make it work. So yeah, I really admire what they've done, and I certainly will be keeping a closer eye on 49 and Market from now on. And I might be using more. I've got some old rub-ons somewhere. Makes me think I should look those out if I've still got them, see if they're any good. But I probably will be disappointed after the quality of these ones, but you never know. So I'm just going to add a few more bits and pieces. Obviously I need to be a bit more careful with what's left, because now I've cut into the sheet. I don't want the backing slipping so that they get wasted. So that's the only thing when you start to cut into them, just to be careful. I tend to keep the packaging for that sort of thing. I'm not so bothered when it comes to for ephemera and stuff, because I think that can fend for itself when you store a collection. But these will need to be treated delicately, I think. So I just need to get another little piece up there, just to I'm just trying to balance it out a little bit, so it's not too obvious where I'm placing them, that it just adds to the effect rather than catching your eye. I think that's the key. It's just adding another layer around them, so I'm really pleased. I'm just thinking whether there's anything else to go. Possibly, there we go, look at those layers. Doesn't that look nice? Quite pleased with the way that's come together actually. And here's the finished layout. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is a longer video. Please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment. I'd be interested to know what your opinions on speedy scrapping or using this range. So do check it out in the Hey Little Magpie shop, and I'll be in touch with you soon. Bye for now.